Welcome back to the live stage here at New York Comic Con. We are closing in on the end of day 2, but it's not over yet. You guys ready for some Star Wars talk? Yeah, we have Star Wars fans in the house. That's good. My name is Adam Swiderski. I am the editor-in-chief of Sci-Fi Wire, and I am joined by a panel of illustrious experts in your field of talking about science and science fiction. And in particular, we're going to be touching on Star Wars, the Science of Skywalker. So rather than me introducing you guys, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves? I know you have some stuff you want to bring to attention.
I am Dr. Travis Langley, professor of psychology at Superheroologist on Twitter, author and editor of a series of books such as Star Wars Psychology, Dark Side of the Mind, and the newest of which is not relevant, but it's The Joker Psychology, Evil Clowns, and the Women Who Love Them.
I'm Tamara Robertson. I'm a chemical and biomolecular engineer, but you guys probably know me from Mythbusters or Sci-Jinx, or most recently Mythbusters Jr. I am also the co-founder of Seekers of Science, which is an outreach-based comic for STEM with my compatriot Tracy Finera. And that's me.
My name is Kieran Dickson. Round of applause.
Yeah, that's it.
My name is Kieran Dickson. I don't have books or anything, but I'm a pop culture and science journalist, and I've been talking about the science of Star Wars to kids and nerds alike for about 6 or 7 years now.
All right.
And my name is Charles Liu. I'm an astrophysics professor at the City University of New York, College of Staten Island. And my most recent book is called 30-Second Universe. It's 50 little vignettes about the universe and cosmology, 30 seconds at a time. So short attention span book for people like me.
All right. So when I think of scientifically accurate science fiction films, Star Wars is not the first one that jumps to mind. Lucas,
No.
George Lucas, I don't think had that on his mind when he was creating this. He was more interested in the fantasy. Why dive into the science of Star Wars?
I'd say it's because it appeals to so many people, and sure, it might not be scientifically accurate, but it's a fantastic window into talking about science and trying to extract a little bit of science from pop culture.
Yeah, it makes people want to learn more about actual science when a story is told so well that they want to know the details. How does a lightsaber work? Can you really kill planets? You know, things like that. How does a little spherical droid roll around in the sand? You know, those kinds of things are kind of fun to think about.
It's also, if you think about it, Star Wars was the first time that sci-fi wasn't a hideous monster or an alien. And it kind of showcased that, you know, the population at large was excited by something that had a sci-fi basis and some form of science, even if they didn't have a full degree or understanding of what they were seeing.
Was that, I mean, not necessarily maybe in Star Wars specifically, but did it inspire any of you guys growing up on the science front, the science, technology, engineering front?
Big time, absolutely, yeah. When the true first Star Wars movie came out, I was a little kid, and I just thought that, I see people agree with me, but that really did help me decide eventually what kind of science I wanted to do, and it was space science, yeah, very much so. And characters, I think, no matter what venue you put it, whether it's fantasy or sci-fi or real science or drama on Earth, the psychology, which is your specialty, of course, Travis, it really is worth thinking about no matter whether you have 2 arms or 4 arms.
Yeah, when it comes to inspiring people, the excitement initially is more important than the technical details. The ways in which Star Wars is not exactly scientifically accurate inspires conversation. People love talking with us about these things. We've also done Star Trek as examples, but the Star Wars is what excites people far more. And between the two, I think we know which one is less scientifically accurate.
But it's always better if you have to really look for the science, isn't it?
Dr. Langley, actually, that's a really good one because when we get to talking about science fiction, and especially about movies like Star Wars, a lot of it boils down to the tech and the space science and things like that. What drew you to the psychology of the movies and the discussion of that?
Well, I am a psychologist. I'm a psychology professor, and we all learn through stories. We all learn through examples. And I found that the ones that are particularly exciting and intriguing that people are interested in for other reasons, they can learn science or any other topic through. So I use psychology to talk about these characters and stories because it's fun, it's interesting as fans, but then we also use the characters and stories to teach the science. For me, something such as trying to explain the personality changes in Anakin Skywalker. How does that empathetic kid from episode 1 become this jerk in episodes 2 and 3? How does this whiny guy in episodes 2 and 3 become Darth Vader, who's kind of cool? And for a long time, my only answer was because George Lucas.
It's sand, right? He hates sand.
But I eventually decided, you know what I do with that kid in episode 1, the way he's acting in episode 2. And it's reminiscent in Kylo Ren, too. But we didn't see him as a kid. It's very reminiscent of what you see with some people who have massive personality change when they're very addicted to drugs, when parts of them have shut down. You and I were talking about that earlier, Charles.
Yeah, I am guessing, and I have thought this for a long time, I've wondered if using the Force is addictive. If you're really good at it, then you get more and more and more into it. Not everyone can control themselves, right? And so I wonder if that's the case. But we know so little about the Force, so we don't really know. But the use of power we know is addictive in our lives, right? The more powerful you are, the more it magnifies your personality there, whether you're good or whether you're evil.
And we can have more fun using somebody like Anakin or Kylo Ren to talk about the breakdown in family dynamics and the details of drug addiction. Then we're talking about real addicts. You're a little twisted if you think that's a fun topic.
Have you found that couching it in this way makes it, I mean, it sounds like it makes it more accessible to people, and people are more accepting of certain lessons that you're trying to teach or things that you're trying to get across?
It varies. Some start off very skeptical. It's like, why are you talking about this stuff? Shouldn't you be talking about real things? The example I'll use, remember when you had to do a math problem about trains approaching each other and calculate when they reach? Somebody loves trains. That's a great way to learn math. And the biggest skeptics, that's the example that seems to sell it to them.
Yeah. The other thing, the thing about Star Wars and psychology, though, and I'll jump back to the tech side in a minute, but I feel like a lot of what's in the movies is contradictory, right? You know, fear, anger lead to the dark side, but then also sometimes it's okay if you use it against the bad guys. How do you approach that?
It's part of human nature. Even though Star Wars repeatedly talks about the light side and the dark side, they also repeatedly show that everybody's more complicated than that. One of the great lessons of Star Wars is to look past the surface. You know, the rogue who says he won't stick his neck out for anybody, does. The damsel in distress takes over her own rescue. The deadliest killers are the teddy bears, and Luke wins the day because he sees past that dark surface.
Oh, very nice. So what's something scientifically, I mean, there's so much in there that is, I mean, we talk about light speed, we talk about plasma, we talk about space travel, all these different things, and it plays fast and loose with a lot of the rules. What's something that you guys look at and you're like, ooh, that's something that we can latch onto as something to talk about on the science side with Star Wars?
What's always interesting to me about sci-fi is there's always that debate between like the scientists and the writers about, you know, the chicken and the egg debate. Did the sci-fi inspire the scientists or the scientists inspire the sci-fi? And what I love is when you look at the droids that are throughout the entire series, you're starting to see now where we're having the autonomous robots come, we're having the extensions of humans through robotics come. We don't quite have the autonomous and extension together. You know, Boston Dynamics has that one backflipping robot that's gotten pretty close, and DARPA keeps challenging them to do more and more. But like, I love to see these types of films and be like, okay, where can we go next? And as an engineer, it's like, okay, we're not there yet, but what would it take to get there? And now in a classroom somewhere, there's kids that are excited about it.
And also with droids, it's not just the technology, it's droid rights. We saw in Solo.
That's true.
I mean, you've probably all seen the videos of those robots getting kicked, and then you go into Solo and you see a droid revolution. That's not a coincidence.
I'm always like, I'm so nice to Siri. I'm like, please don't come. But remember, I said thank you after every question.
Yeah, we're starting to see now the Siri. I mean, her was a big one, but we're seeing even more like Siri is either going to fall in love with it or it's going to destroy us all. Movies, like this is all coming down the pipe soon. And I think a lot of that, for a lot of us, had a root in movies like Star Wars. And one of the things I liked about it from an engineering standpoint too was the move away from anthropomorphization of the robots. I mean, C-3PO obviously was bipedal and everything, but then you had R2-D2, you had your Gonk droid, everything that was like not human in design, and I think that was something really cool that came out of it as well.
It's much easier to treat them as slaves when they don't look human.
Well, that's true too. I hadn't thought about that. Wow, that got dark.
Well, we've done the Science of Westworld, and we talk about, it's easier to smack your computer when you don't think that it has feelings,
Right. Yeah.
So, obviously, the science of Star Wars is way, even though it takes place a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, way beyond what we can do now. But what's something in there that people might be surprised to realize is either accurate or we're closer to getting to that than we might think?
Laser weapons.
Laser weapons.
Laser weapons are real, and they're out there right now. They might not look green and make cool noises, but...
they don't go pew-pew or anything.
Unfortunately not.
No.
Little blasters. Pew, pew, pew.
But the Navy has real-life laser weapons mounted on some of their ships, and they use them to shoot down drones or missiles, and they're not just cool and futuristic, they're also way cheaper than firing off live rounds.
Wow.
You go from spending thousands of dollars to fire off live rounds to essentially maybe like $1 per fire of a laser to shoot down and heat up a missile and take it down with pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah, and the Air Force has got the ability to actually, they've been mounting on the Boeing 747, right? And so they've been able to take drones out of the sky.
You know what? One weapon is not realistic. The Star Killer.
Yeah.
No Star Killer is going to happen, folks. Don't worry. Don't lose any sleep.
Unless there's something with gamma rays. I don't know. That's the only
Oh,
thing
no,
I
that's
can
a Hulk Buster. That's
Oh,
a different
okay, I
thing.
see,
Yeah.
That will be here tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. But one thing that is real, remember when Rey was eating food and she puts like a drop of food in a bowl and then it turns up? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have those. Those are called instant ramen noodles.
Or MREs.
We were way ahead of our time on that one.
Oh, absolutely.
Only available in whole portions, though.
So just as a wrap up, what's the one Star Wars technology that you wish were real?
A lot of their medical tech.
Yeah.
They've got some amazing
Backed
medical
up.
technology, although you can still apparently die after giving birth while sad, but they've got amazing medical
There's
tech.
no cure for a broken heart. We all know that.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
I'm going to take a step back from STEM because biology is a science, and I'm going to say I want an Ewok. I think having an Ewok friend would be amazing. I know it's not tech, but it's an animal,
No,
and
that
that's
works.
biology. So
I'll take it.
I'm going to have to say back to tank. We've all been there, maybe had a few too many beers, a quick swim in a back to tank will just wash that hangover away right away.
And my favorite is the idea that there are so many planets out there, we can just get there in a snap. I would love to explore the universe, being able to get wherever I wanted to, whenever I wanted to, just by jumping to light speed.
I wish we had so much more time to talk to you guys. I feel like there's so much we could get into, but unfortunately we're out of time.